everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Rich T Racing. And once again, we are going to be trying to predict the result for one driver, for one team at this weekend's Grand Prix. And obviously, in this instance, we are going to be predicting for the Italian Grand Prix. I get so excited when I say the words Italian Grand Prix that just a little bit of "we" comes out. Now, if you didn't see the video for the last time we did this at the Belgian Grand Prix, let me briefly explain. Basically, what I'm going to do is pick a team at random, and then whichever team that is, I will flip a coin to decide which driver I get from that team. Last time at Belgium, it was Haas, and I got Romain Grosjean, so that immediately says that it won't be Haas this time, so it has to be a different team. And yes, the pun on has to be was intended. So here we go then, getting ready to randomly decide which team it will be. Again, I should point out it won't be Haas, or will it be Alfa Romeo, because that's the team I do my career mode with. So we're just going to go through here, decide. Oh, no. Can't be that team, so we're going to try again. Come on, we're going to pick a team. Oh, for fuck. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, that was so close. But yes, we have ended up with McLaren. This is a brilliant find, because not only do I love McLaren at the moment, it's also the esports event is with McLaren and with Lando Norris. So we are going to assign, let's go tails for Carlos Sainz and heads for Lando Norris. But that's not really... that doesn't really have anything to do with it, because I love both drivers. So let's see who we get.
Heads.
So once again it is heads, and that means we shall be driving as my guy, Lando Norris. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we get into the business of qualifying, let's have a look at the setup we shall be using. It will be my Italian setup, which is based on the one I use for my multiplayer car. I find this to be the most stable and the one that works for me the best. You can see we're running 4-3 on the front wing and rear wing, and you know, you could say you could run a bit higher, go to 5.4 as you just saw there, but I like to go with the lower stuff, because obviously it's Monza, you run too much wing, you'll get mugged off down the straights. Braking, transmission, all that lot, all pretty much the same. I don't really understand what suspension is, apart from ride height. I drop it down to 2 here, but then I thought I'd chicken out and go with just free. Brakes, yeah, that's always quite a good one. It actually works really well around Monza, and tyres I don't particularly understand. So that's the setup. Just went through there. Could probably go into more detail, but I can't be bothered. But anyway, let's get into qualifying. You'll notice here, just before we get the first lap underway, we let the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc go through, and that gives us a beautiful tow going around the track. But it does, unfortunately, as we come into the parabolica, that's when he decides to let us go. Completely stupid. That's one of the biggest drawbacks of the F1 2019 game. Just idiotic AI on qualifying laps, and we ultimately come through on the first lap to set a 1 minute 21.6, which, as you can see here, puts us about 0.6 of a second down on our teammate Carlos Sainz. But we can make up time, particularly into sector 3. But I should just leave this in of the second chicane, whose name I should know, but I just don't, and we see how smooth we were through there, coming up now to the Lesmo corners. And you see here, coming across the line, we have set a time that is 0.4 of a second faster on a 121.2, so we are now just 2 tenths behind Sainz in 15th. But for some reason, as we get ready for this lap to get going, we're up into 11th. I don't particularly understand that. We're now in 12th. Again, not a clue. You can see, coming through the Lesmos, we were quite slow, but we've made up for it into the parabolica, and as we qualify in 15th place, we have gone to a 121.1, but we are still a few tenths off Carlos Sainz. I've got a few doubts about that one. I don't think Lando will qualify in 15th, but that is what we are accurately predicting. So we are now into the race, and just before we get into that, I'm really confused about this strategy. What even is it? Like, it's saying go longer on the softs and then shorter on the mediums for the high tyre management one, and then low tyre management long on the mediums, and then really short on the hards. Like, that makes no sense. Surely you would do what I'm about to do. You'd go short on the softs and then longer on the mediums. And certainly if you were starting on the mediums, you wouldn't go onto the hards. That's mad. Very silly. I don't really understand. Anyway, should we get into the race? I think we should get into the race. So we are now into the race. We are looking for the lights. There they go. We're revving. We've revved a little bit too high. We're going to drop those revs down, find that optimal RPM, and it is lights out, and away we go here at the Italian Grand Prix. It was initially a good start, but in the second phase we have lost out, and we're now being overtaken by that is the Toro Rosso of Daniel Kvyat, heading now into the first chicane. We're going to make sure we brake as lightly as possible, as delicately as possible, and it looks like we have actually got through here. There is a yellow flag, so we've got to make sure we don't get any penalties for overtaking under yellow flags. We have actually made up a position now on, I think that was Kimi Raikkonen, but we've run over the grass. We're waving our hand, we're gesticulating madly at Kimi, coming now into the second chicane. Are we going to be able to be easy on the brakes? Yes, we are. In fact, we might even be taking Alexander Albon as well in the Toro Rosso, but he's fought back down the inside. That was quite risky from the Thai British driver. He's actually still fighting us into the first of the Lesmos. We're gesticulating once again now, heading into the second Lesmo. Albon still fighting side by side. The AI are absolutely mad here around Monza, but we have a little look back and see that we have got Albon covered off for the moment. We're going to go into rich mode and hopefully hold off Albon, and that is in fact what we do. We did that until lap 3, where you can see we are coming onto the back of this massive train, fighting for what must be 8th, 7th. We've got Kimi behind us, we've got Sainz right next to us. It looks like we're going to try and overtake now in around the outside of the Parabolica. I think that is, I don't know who that is that Reich, is that Ricciardo, is that Hulkenberg? I have no idea, but all I do know is that we have now lost out not only to Sainz but also to Raikkonen, so we're now back down in 14th place, heading up the pit straight into the first chicane. This is where the DRS is going to be wide open. There are a couple of cars in front. We've got Alexander Albon coming at us like a freight train. He is going down the inside, but we've got a lovely clear path in front of us around the outside of the first chicane. Is it going to be free for the price of one? Oh yes, is it going to be free for the price of one? Absolutely fantastic. And we are now up into P12, but we are going to obviously have to fight off Kimi coming down into the second chicane. I think this may very well be called the Valorante chicane, but someone would have to check me on that. It might be the first chicane that's called the Valorante chicane, but I have absolutely no idea. We go defensive into what I think could be called the Valorante chicane, but might not be, and we hang on to P12 for the moment. But we are now heading into the first of the Lesmo corners. It looks like we've actually got a decent run out of the first of the Lesmos, and we're now chasing Ricciardo for what would be P11, so we are going to dial it up into medium. We're running in low for the moment in ERS, but it looks like Ricciardo has got the legs on us on this straight as we head into Ascari. It looks like Raikkonen might be looking to send one down the inside as we get braking. We run a bit wide, missed the apex, but we have just about recovered it. I think we're going to be okay for the moment, heading now down towards the Parabolic, and it looks like we are okay as it's Sainz who is now going for Raikkonen, but Raikkonen has been able to hold off Sainz, and it looks like, is he going to have an overtake on us lined up? No, he is not, but you can see in the wing mirrors he is still right up our arse, and it looks like he now might actually have this move done even before the DRS zone. We just cannot live with the straight line speed, even though I've got low rear wing and low ride height, but we're going to slot into the slipstream. But there is a yellow flag ahead. It looks like someone's having an absolute disaster, whereas we were going to overtake Kimi there. We cannot. We're going to have to back off, and who is that going slowly? That is Kevin Magnussen, who has had a breakdown, and that has obviously allowed us to, whilst we lost the place, we are now back where we were. But as we now come into the second chicane that may be called the Valorante chicane, but I'm not sure, Kimi had a lock-up, and that means we are now going to be able to swoop down the inside into the first Lesmo, or are we? Is it going to be close? No. Well, yes, it was close, sorry, but we have got the move done, but we are, it's argy-bargy all the way. Again, as I say, the AI are absolutely mad going around Monza, and we're now coming on the straight down towards Ascari. We are still chasing Ricciardo, but I think it's going to be Raikkonen we're going to have to watch out for more now. As we saw there, we've just decided to box this lap, and that's probably a good thing because Raikkonen's just overtaken us, heading down to Parabolica, and Sainz also going with a daring move into the Parabolica, and he's got it done. That could have been chaos between the two teammates, so I'm saying I've had enough of this. I am coming into the pits a couple of laps early, and this should hopefully allow us to get the jump on our rivals. Let's just make sure that the engine stays on. Yes, it looks like we're okay. Actually, no, that was Sainz, wasn't it? Nothing wrong for Lando. But as we come on to this a couple of laps later, you can see that my first two sectors are absolutely diabolical, but Sainz has come into the pits, and we actually go a second faster in that final sector, and that has allowed us to jump Sainz, Kvyat, all of that lot comfortably. We are comfortably now into P15, and now a couple of laps later we are now on the back of Stroll up into P12. Is there going to be anything going here? No, unfortunately there isn't. I think Stroll's tyres are obviously a little bit light, fresher than ours, and obviously Stroll with the Mercedes engine in the back. But as we come now onto lap 11, you'd think that it'd be comfortable, but no, the car, for some reason, the rear of the car just was not happy, and we are now struggling. We're struggling once again now coming into the first chicane. We just cannot get the rear to behave. And now, as we come onto the penultimate lap, you can see that is Carlos Sainz chasing us. He's going to try and overtake us now for the final points playing position. Now, I should mention that we did get into P10 after the round of pit stops, but now it is Carlos Sainz who is up into P10, but I think this means we're going to have the DRS. Yes, there we go, we've got the DRS open now. So coming into the first chicane, which may also be called the Valorante chicane, it looks like we are going to have to go late on the brakes and go to the outside, leave enough space for Carlos if he's going to try and fight it around the inside, but we have managed to do that perfectly. And now coming out of the second of the Lesmo corners into the final DRS zone, heading down towards Tascara. We've got everything turned up as much as it possibly can be. We're in rich fuel mix, we're in medium ERS as Hamilton wins the race. We're going defensive into a Sky chicane, and that is Sainz trying to go around the outside, but I'm having none of that. It's a clean defensive move, but now coming onto the Parabolica, this is where we have lost out a few positions. You just saw there that Sainz is quite far behind, but he's no, actually scrap that. He is gaining massively coming into a Sky. We're going to brake on the inside, down into fourth gear. Have we got Sainz covered off? We just see him there in the mirrors. He is still right up our arse, but it looks like as we come to cross the line, we are going to finish in front of Carlos Sainz. We've climbed 5 positions and finished in P10. An absolutely fantastic race, much better than the last one at Belgium, and that is therefore what we are predicting, or what I am predicting at least, for Lando Norris. He's going to qualify in P15 and finish in P10. But guys, that has been me accurately predicting the Italian Grand Prix. It's probably going to completely fail. The one with Grosjean did, although actually it was still similar pace. It's still nearly finished towards the back, but just there were a few retirements, so there wasn't the P16 that we were hoping for. But again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And all that's left for me to say now is ta-ta and farewell.
Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that he and his team are going to be over the moon with his performance today.
Yeah, boy!